Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Daily Football Roundup proudly brings to you the best damn podcast in the world, the 12-Ounce Curl Route Podcast. I am your host, Aaron Current. You can find me on Twitter at Aaron Current. My co-host, Kyle, can be found there at DF Roundup, and my co-host, Corey, is not on the app. What's going on, fellas? How we doing this week?
Losing my ass in football or in betting. That's just 2 weeks in a row. It sucks.
I guess technically Monday was this week, so I've had better days. I want to love this whole Tommy DeVito story, except for when they do it against the Packers. I just want to hate them. I just want to hate them. You know,
forget about it.
That's tough.
That's week 14, though. I've already moved on to week 15. Week 15.
Yeah, week 15.
Week 14, 15. Oh my!
There's a lot of footballing that happened this past weekend.
I don't know that I can even count anymore. Week 15 already.
Yeah,
sad.
Goodness. Wow.
Season flies by, and there's so many eves and flows. Texted you guys Sunday, and we'll get into it in the six-pack challenge, but I think Eberflus may have saved his freaking job Sunday. So we got that going on in Chicago. If there's nothing else, we'll just go ahead and get on into this thing.
I'm in a state of mourning right now. So I'm gonna give me till Sunday when hopefully Green Bay can bounce back against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But
big win for the Patriots. Big win for the Patriots.
Oh, that's right. The Patriots won a game and helped the Chicago Bears secure that number one overall pick. Thank you, Mitchell Trubisky, for being your normal self, the usual you, and taking that L. I do appreciate it.
Wait, so Chicago locked in with the number one overall pick? Like they're official, or
pretty much?
It's a 93% chance that they'll have the number one overall pick, thanks to the Carolina Panthers. Pretty locked in. We'll get into last week's action. The 12-Ounce Curl Route Podcast big spread of the week was Monday Night Football. The Tennessee Titans traveled down to South Beach to take on the Miami Dolphins. We all took Miami minus 13 because what does Miami do? They beat up on bad teams. Well, Will Levis just said, ain't happening this week. Will Levis, the first rookie quarterback ever to throw for 300 yards in a Monday Night Football game, leads his Titans to victory, and all the Tennessee Volunteer fans that hated the draft pick and couldn't stand Will Levis is going to ruin our franchise, now they're all eating a little bit of crow as they're wearing their number 8 jerseys in the stands. Even though I lost this on the six-pack challenge, I couldn't be happier for Will Levis. I just think he just showed up and did his thing. He had Wan'Dale Robinson, his junior year that he did this with, where he just force-fed him the ball, and he's doing that with DeAndre Hopkins, and there's a lot less receivers he can be doing that with. But, Kyle, what'd you think of this game, man?
5-6 minutes left to go in this game. We were good. Miami was up 14. We were chilling. And then Will Levis just started moving the ball downfield. Scored a touchdown, went for 2. They got it. You know, analytics always say go for 2, and people are like, well, why would you do that? Well, we saw why you do that on Monday, on one of the Monday Night Football games is you go for 2. That way, if you get it, you kick a field goal next time you score and you win. If you don't get it, you have another shot at going for 2 if you can score another touchdown. This was we saw what the Dolphins are when Tyreek's not out on the field. It was not a good showing for their offense when he wasn't out there. And even when he came back, they finally got that lead, but then they couldn't hang on to it. And I wanted to pull up the standings real quick because the Titans are now 5-8. The Jags are 8-5. Colts and Texans are both 7-6. I don't want to say the Titans are right there and they could win this division, but we saw this last year with Jacksonville. Jacksonville stormed up out of nowhere and took over this division lead. And We've got 4 games left.
Yeah.
Tennessee could finish 9-8. 9-8 could potentially win this division. Stroud may not play this week. Trevor Lawrence is nursing an injury. It's not tight, but it's tight between those top 3 teams. But we could still see Tennessee mess around and make something even more of this division too.
Yeah, I mean, and even if they don't win the division, to have a young couple of players like Levis and Tajay Spears is getting a lot of love, and some of those players, they can see some things they can build on for next season. Maybe get a younger receiver in there. D-Hop, I love you, but what is he, 33, 34? I don't know how much mileage he's got left on those legs, and Derrick Henry didn't have a great game. I think he had like 34 yards and a touchdown. So it's not like they were just pounding them. It was just, I don't know. I mean, they got the dub. Against all odds, the Titans got the dub. Corey, this is your division with the Miami Dolphins. What did you feel about this game?
I mean, I didn't even bother to watch, thinking that it was going to be a blowout. The fact that nobody wants the number 1 seed in the AFC is crazy. Everybody lost, and Baltimore tried to lose. They had to win in overtime, I think. So it's Miami. We said last week, if you're struggling against the good teams, but as long as you're beating the bad teams, you're fine. Yeah. Well, then they lost to a bad team. So I'm not sure what's going on with Miami right now. If Miami can't play in South Florida, I don't think they have a chance on the road in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think they get a lot of home field advantage, making some of those cold weather teams, especially in the AFC East and hell, even Kansas City, it gets cold there. Making them travel down there to the hot and humid Miami in the playoffs would be it would be a lot very helpful, you would think. But and Miami will probably turn it around. I am a little shocked that Vic Fangio's defense gave that up at the end, because I love Vic Fangio. I think he's genius on the defensive side of the ball. But, I mean, things happen. I saw a clip of Will Levis running into Jalen Ramsey, and I don't think Ramsey wants that anymore. He didn't want that smoke.
No.
But
Levis is a big boy.
Yeah. It was
good for them. I mean, they got a couple building pieces, and this division is going to be fun to watch in the next few years.
Maybe Mike Vrabel isn't out the door. Maybe he sticks around in Tennessee and helps rebuild them. We'll move on to our next, the 12-ounce Curl Route podcast. Nail biter of the week, Sunday at 1 o'clock. The Indianapolis Colts traveled to Cincinnati. Cincinnati was a 1-point underdog at home. We all rode with Cincinnati, and Cincinnati rode all over Indianapolis. I mean, once halftime was over, Cincinnati didn't give up another point. This was a close game at the half. I was watching the Bears. I tried to split screen it, but YouTube TV, you have to allow us to choose which games we want to split screen with. Please and thank you. So I wasn't able to watch it. I was only able to catch the highlights, but it seems like Jake Browning is doing his thing out there with Joe Burrow out. I know Joe Burrow offered his suite up to Jake Browning's family and friends, so that was great of him. And, I mean, Cincinnati's rolling, and you talk about looking at the division. I mean, like you said, Corey, the Ravens tried their dangest to give up that game against the Rams, and the Steelers have Trubisky starting, and the Browns, well, they're the Browns. I mean, I guess we'll get into that in a little bit. But, Kyle, what did you think of this game, brother?
This was not really a nail-biter. We did not have to sweat this one at all. What's most ironic is I put together a little 3-leg parlay. We'll call it the AFC North parlay. I took Bengals, Browns, and Ravens money line, and the one I sweat the most was Baltimore. I thought they were, I mean, like Corey said, I thought they were going to lose in overtime. But Cincinnati, I'll tell you, one of the most exciting players to watch on this team the past 2 weeks has been Chase Brown. They've been working on getting this guy out in space and just letting him go. And I think I saw something. I don't know if it's 100% accurate because I skimmed over it, but I think he recorded the second fastest speed in the NFL this year. It may not be the second fastest this year, but something about being fast, DK Metcalf type level fast, which DK I would say is Tyreek level fast. But I mean, I could Google search it, I guess, and find out. But
yeah, that's wild. Chase Brown was the guy that I talked about in our division breakdowns because he was a rookie that I liked a lot in the draft. The Bengals were able to snag him, I think, in the third or fourth round, maybe.
Yeah.
So they didn't put a whole lot of draft stock into him, and they're getting a lot of bang for their butt. And it might be I don't know if Joe Mixon sticks around in Cincinnati. If he doesn't, maybe they've got a starter in him, and if they don't, then that's what NFL teams are doing these days. They're just drafting these guys instead of paying them. So, what up, Kyle?
It was the second fastest speed by a ball carrier this year, behind only DK Metcalf.
Wow, that's crazy. Corey, what'd you think of this one?
Burrow who?
Easy.
I know. Cincinnati has a chance to, just easily sneak into the playoffs right now. I know the Browns won, but they're still technically on their fourth quarterback. The Steelers are all but done. I don't know what's going on there. Obviously, like you said, Mr. Trubisky, but the Colts are still right there too. The Colts are still there. They had a pretty bad game, but their schedule's not that hard for the rest of the year either. So Bengals are looking good considering no Burrow.
Yeah, in that division that Indianapolis is in, Kyle just broke it down. It's a dogfight over there.
Everybody's within one game.
Yeah, all those teams are neck and neck, and Gardner Minshew, he's fine. He's a hell of a backup quarterback. We'll see next year, I guess, what Anthony Richardson's able to do with that team, but who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Maybe they sneak in. I don't know, but
I think it's ironic. Sorry, Aaron, didn't mean to cut you off there, but because I know we're about to move on, Corey said something about the Browns being on their fourth quarterback. Not only is Joe Flacco their fourth quarterback, but he's the fourth different starting quarterback to win a game for the Browns this year. So while they made their fourth quarterback, they're still able to find a way with that defense.
Well, and apparently the defense, I thought Myles Garrett actually hurt. Nah, just kidding. Like their defense is still amazing. I do think Chicago's going to give them some problems this week, but the Browns, as long as their defense can be that all the time, they might have a shot.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the Bears, that's our next game. Sunday at 1:00, the Detroit Lions travel to Chicago, Soldier Field, to take on my beloved Chicago Bears, and they lose the game 28-13. We were all riding Detroit -3. I thought the Bears were doing fine, and then they went into this game, and I trusted Dan Campbell more than I did Eberflus. And the Bears got a big lead and kind of sat on it. They ran the ball well. Justin Fields had a great 4th and 13. Kyle, it looked like we always get that play done against us by the Packers. The offsides. On a 4th and 13, Aiden Hutchinson jumps offsides inexplicably. Justin makes the call and throws it to DJ Moore. It's a beautiful play. And it was nice to be on the other side of that play, I'll be honest. I'm wearing my Jaquan Brisker jersey tonight because he had 17 tackles. The first Chicago Bear since at least 1960, when they started taking that statistic, to have that many tackles in one game. And if you think about all the history of the Chicago Bears defense, the fact that Brisker owns that statistic is incredible. And it's not like he was just catching guys back in the backfield. He's a box safety. He was playing hard. And I told you guys in the text, I think Eberflus saved his job Sunday. And you talk about a team that can sneak into the playoffs. There's 4 games left. If they finish 9-8, maybe they'll have to travel to Dallas, which could probably be ugly. But if this team sneaks into the playoffs, man, I don't know. The way this defense is playing, since Montez Sweat got there, they're a top 5 defense statistically in all statistics. So it's it's going to come down to Justin Fields, and he's got a contract looming and all that. But I watched every second of this game, and even though I had Detroit picked, it was pretty awesome to see my Bears rise to the occasion and actually give me something nice to watch for a Sunday for once. Kyle, what'd you feel on this one, man?
This was not supposed to happen for Detroit. But on the other side of the spectrum, just like we said with Tennessee, Chicago could get hot right now, and they have a chance to make the playoffs. 4 weeks ago, probably even last week would have been like, Chicago's not going to make the playoffs. They've won 3 of their last 4. They're getting hot and finding steam at the right time, and the NFC's not that great this year. 8-9 could potentially get you in. 9-8 probably will be for that 7th seed in the NFC. 8-7 will probably be the NFC South winner, right? But yeah, Chicago's getting hot at the right time. I know, Aaron, you put something in the group chat about Chicago being a top 5 defense since they've traded for Montez Sweat, but that offense is looking pretty good at the same time too. I've said it all year. I'll keep saying it. I think they need to keep Justin Fields around.
Yeah, I agree. It's just going to be a decision to make with the Bears having the number 1 overall pick. Will they stick with Fields or will they move on because you don't know if you'll be there again? It's all, I mean, people get paid millions of dollars to make that decision. I'm glad I'm not one of them because at this point I would stick with Fields and I would be drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't care if it's 1st overall or if you trade back a little bit and get him there. Corey, what'd you feel about this game, man?
I think it's a no-brainer. I think you keep Fields and you take Marvin Harrison Jr. You got Harrison Jr., DJ Moore, Kmet, and then build up that defense and offensive line. I waffled with this pick last week, but ultimately went with Detroit because they had to have this game. Speaking of not wanting a first-round bye, I mean, Detroit would have been 10-3. And the way the top of that's kind of going right now, yes, San Fran's taken off, but San Francisco had lost 3 games. So, in theory, all they do was trip up one more time, and then Detroit could have been right there. Detroit's got to play better if they want any shot of doing anything in the playoffs. I know that defense is bad. Technically, it's gotten better this year, but they're going to have to figure out something. Or they're going to have to score. They're going to have to score 50 points. That was the other thing about this. They only scored 13 points.
Yeah,
like they've only been that bad, like against the Ravens maybe, and one other time. Other than that, they've been scoring 20 plus. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
I said this when they brought Jared Goff in on my barroom show. Jared Goff does not like to play in the cold. When he came in, I think it was 2018. So, granted, the Bears had a great defense that year, like Super Bowl caliber defense, and he brought that Rams team in there, and we shut them down. And he hated playing in the cold. And I believe that was the year he played your Patriots. And the Patriots, after that game, said, yeah, we just looked at what Chicago did and kind of followed that blueprint. And so, Goff doesn't like playing in the cold, and the defense is bad. And now the offense all of a sudden is turnover prone and looking bad too. And some of those 4th down, go for it things that we all commended Dan Campbell on. Now that they're getting caught up in it, it's people are going to start questioning, like, what is this guy doing? You know what I'm saying? I just I don't know about it, but I am happy the Bears won after all. But we'll move on to our next game.
Hold on real quick. I do want to make a point that only one team, the Carolina Panthers, is technically eliminated. One team. Arizona technically can still get in. So there's, the 5th seed is either going to be the Eagles or Dallas. Obviously, that's a lock. And then it's 7-6, 6-7, 6-7, 6-7, 6-7, 6-7, 5-8, 5-8 Bears. Like anybody, those 2 spots are wide open.
Yeah. I've already been looking up playoff scenarios, and Kyle, I played with your little the playoff thing. The playoff predictor.
Mine, ESPN's playoff machine.
ESPN's playoff machine. But you were the one that showed it to me. And I messed around with that, and I was able to get the Bears into the playoffs, but they need a lot of help to do so. But that week 18, is it 18 or 17 at the end of the year?
18, they play Green Bay.
Yep.
Yeah, that could be for that last playoff spot. And that would be interesting for sure. Sunday at 4:05, the Seattle Seahawks travel to San Francisco to take on the mighty 49ers. They lose this game. The San Francisco wins this game 28-16. We all rode San Francisco minus 10.5. I saw right before the game Geno Smith inactive, and this line bumped way up. I think it went up to like 14 or 15. I maybe even 16 in some places. So if you had took it at that point, you would have been wrong. But I mean, San Francisco, they look like the best team in the league, man. I just don't know if there's any team that can get or stay with them or play with them. And they just look great, man. I don't know how else to say it. And there's no AFC team in my mind that's gonna, unless they get on a roll and get hot here at the end. I think San Francisco is your Super Bowl champion. Maybe I'm just blowing smoke and I'm jumping on the bandwagon way early, but they just look so great, man. Kyle, what do you think of this one, man?
I don't think I really watched too much of this one. I know Drew Lock got the start because, like you said, Geno was out and Debo got another 2 touchdowns this game. So Corey's midseason trade in our fantasy league, like we're over here playing Madden. I wouldn't mind if we were, but that midseason trade's not looking as bad now that Debo's have 5 touchdowns in the past 2 games, and they're designing plays to him. When they have Ayuk and Debo and Kittle and CMC healthy, this offense is very, very hard to defend. And we see it week in and week out when they just continue to. I mean, they only beat Seattle we say only by 12. We say only by 12, right?
Yeah.
They only beat Seattle by 12. If another team beat Seattle by 12, we'd be pretty impressed. But San Francisco only winning by 12, it's a closer game than I really thought it was going to be. But, San Francisco continues to get it done.
Yeah, and you talk about all those weapons they've got, but those trenches are loaded as well. I mean, you got one of the best left tackles, if not the best left tackle in the league, and you've got on the defensive side of the ball, Bosa and Young screaming off the edge. You got Warner and Greenlaw back there in the linebacker core, and don't sleep on their secondary either. I believe they lead the league in interceptions. So.
I think what they're doing with all these players they have, Shohei Ohtani just signed a $700 million deal, something like 680.
Yeah.
He signed a really, really big deal, and he's only taking $10 million a year or something like that. Until he gets paid out $2 million. Sorry, this has got to be what the Niners are doing. They've got to be kicking this cap down about 25, 30 years to have all of these studs on their team.
Yeah.
Where are they coming up with this money? Did they invent Bitcoin or something of that nature? Like, it's just like they're printing it out and the salary cap doesn't pertain to them. It's wild.
Well, a lot of these players are guys they drafted. Ayuk, Debo. I don't think they drafted Trent Williams, but they brought him in free agency and obviously trading for Christian McCaffrey. But on the defensive side of the ball, most of their players, they drafted those guys and developed them. And that just goes to show you how good of a coach Kyle Shanahan is. He's known as this offensive genius, and I don't disagree with that. But the fact that he literally loses top-level assistants yearly. Think about what he lost this offseason. He lost D'Amico Ryans, his defensive coordinator, who took Bobby Slowick with him, which was an offensive assistant. He lost Mike McDaniels to Miami, had to replace that. And it's just rinse and repeat. The guy just gets it done. You talk about who should be a coach of the year. To me, it should be Kyle Shanahan. Just the fact that he's able to pull that off and do this is absolutely incredible. But they're not going to give it to a guy like that. They'll give it to a guy who's overachieving because that's just what they do. Corey, what did you feel about this one, man?
Aaron, don't feel too bad. After Votto left, King Griffey Jr. is the highest paid Cincinnati Red. So don't feel bad about not getting Shohei. That's right, King Griffey Jr. Let's keep in mind with Drew Lock playing this game that they had the lead. Seattle had the lead for, I think, 9 game minutes. That kind of is something to me. And it was over switching quarters. So I think it still runs through Levi Stadium, the NFC, but that's just something to take away a little bit too, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they're not invincible, but they just look so good.
And also too the fact that on 3 carries, McCaffrey was already at 75 yards or 84 yards, and then I think just after second half he was at 170 or whatever it was. It was insane.
Yeah. First carry of the game, I think he took for 72 yards. So. First play of the game, I think it was too.
You want to talk about a downer if you're Seattle? God.
Yeah, talk about someone who deserves an MVP vote. That guy right there. He just. But it's hard to pick one player on that because if you somehow shut down Christian McCaffrey, who's shutting down Debo? Okay, you're going to double Debo. Well, now I got Brandon Ayuk on the other side. Okay, you want to bracket both those guys? Guess what? I got George Kittle coming screaming down this team. Like how do you defend it? You can't. I don't know. They're incredible. But we'll move on to our next game. Sunday at 4:25, the Buffalo Bills traveled to Kansas City to win this game 20-17. I thought Kansas City would defend their home turf. You both were on Buffalo's side correctly, and I just got to say, fellas, it is a shame that the referees have shut down the greatness of the Kansas City Chiefs. I couldn't even keep a straight face. I can't believe it. He was offsides. Like,
look, they have been taught since 6th grade. I know, like,
my son plays middle school ball. They know what offsides is.
Patrick Mahomes bitches and moans about every freaking play, like every play. And and then when one time, look, since 6th grade, wide receivers are told to do this number and check, and then you're good. Kadarius Toney didn't do that. That's his second one this year. There's been 11 total this year. So quit bitching. Just, it's a simple thing that every wide receiver has done every play since the beginning of time. So just do it.
Yeah. And really what it did is take away from this incredible game going back and forth. I mean, the defense has played great. I thought the over was guaranteed to hit with these two offenses, but these defenses came to play against each other, and they were playing really well. You guys were right when you talked about Buffalo having their backs against the wall and having everything in the world to fight for, and they came out and they did it, man. They were an offsides penalty away from losing this game, but this game was incredible, and I'm glad the time slot it was in. I know everybody loves the prime time slot, but your boy gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning, so staying up late for those primetime games, it wears me out. It is tough. But so I love the time slot of 4:25 because I can get the whole game in and I can relax. Maybe I'll watch, a little bit of the Sunday night game, but I usually don't get to catch the end of them. But fantastic game. Kyle, what did you think about this game?
You want to talk about a wild play? That I'm still trying to figure out if it was scripted for Travis Kelce to throw it across the field to Kadarius Toney. I'm guessing that it probably was just the way that it happened, but it was a wild play. They score the touchdown, and then all of a sudden, here comes the refs. Offsides number, what's Kadarius Toney? 17, something like 19. That. 87, 19, whatever number. It's wild. And yeah, I had said last week on the podcast that I thought Buffalo was going to win, and that I still don't think Kansas City has a chance at going to the Super Bowl. I think they're going to run into somebody in the playoffs, and they're going to get wiped out. Same thing for Philadelphia too.
I mean, the real question with Kansas City is, has Matt Nagy ruined Patrick Mahomes? Because it sure seems like it to me. He finally gets a chance at play calling again after when he was in Chicago, he had play calling. He took it away from himself and gave it to someone else, and then he took it back for himself. And now he can't even make Patrick Mahomes look good. Now, I get it. They have young wide receiver core. But, I mean, that's what the NFL is, man. If you pay your quarterbacks, you got to make up for it somewhere. And the biggest way that they're going to do it is by drafting wide receivers. Rashee Rice looks really good, but you're going to have inexperience is going to cause things like this. At the end of a game, at a crucial moment, you just like Corey said, my son plays middle school ball. The wide receiver's there. Hey, am I good? Yeah, okay. We're good to go. Like, it's not difficult. Corey, did you have anything else to say on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I said it last. Kansas City's not the best team in the AFC. There's not, and this proves it right here. They're 2 games out of the number 1 seed. I mean, Baltimore can technically trip up, I guess. Miami tripped up this week, but they're just not the best. Rashee Rice is one of the best picks they've had in a long time, and I do think he's going to be a really good wide receiver. And that defense has gotten better too. But Buffalo is the best 6-5 team, or whatever they are now, and I really hope they do make the playoffs and just go on and make a road and just win all the games. I think Buffalo is so good, and James Cook had a breakout game again. Like, I think he can be the number one running back there for a few years. Kansas City's just not the best team in the AFC, period. And now I believe they're only one game up on Denver. Yes, they're only one game up on Denver now. So
wow. And do they play each other again, or have they already played both their matches?
They played less. So they got Chiefs are at Patriots, then the Raiders.
They already played both times. Yeah, I believe.
Times. Yeah.
I think they split that. That had
yeah, you're right. The Broncos won the first time, and then Buffalo in the last week of the season, they got to travel down to Miami. Maybe that's and I love the way the NFL schedule set it up that way, because we used to see so many teams would just rest their guys in the last week. Making it a divisional game makes it mean something to everybody, whether it's last year, Kyle, the Lions knocking off the Packers and keeping the Packers out of the playoffs. So there's always something to play for in that last game, with it being a divisional game. And I don't know how far back they are from Miami, but I mean, if Miami keeps slipping up, so it's a 2-game, if Miami keeps slipping up, it's watch it. Go ahead, Kyle.
No, I think they're only – oh, you're right. They're 2 games. I'm sorry. I was holding up a finger to say 1, but Miami's 9-4. Buffalo has to be careful. They have 2 very, very winnable games coming up, but they play Dallas this week and they play Miami in week 18. So 1 loss, you might be all right. 2 losses, if you lose against Dallas and Miami, you're gone. You're not making the playoffs. So
keep in mind, Miami has to play Dallas as well.
Man,
and the Ravens at Baltimore.
Well, we talked about gauntlets all throughout the season, and this is another one coming up. The last pick of our 6-pack challenge. The Philadelphia Eagles traveled to Dallas. They're right in the middle of this huge gauntlet that they were running through. Myself and Kyle had Dallas -3.5, and Corey tried to take the underdog Philadelphia Eagles +3.5. Dallas just absolutely. They bullied the bully on Sunday Night Football. They hit, and I believe DeMarcus Lawrence, taking a page out of Beast Mode's book, said that their plan was to just hit them in the mouth over and over and over and over and over again. And then when they get up, you hit them in the mouth again. And that's what Dallas did, and they looked good doing it. This Dallas team, I know they say every year it's our year. I don't want to say it's not, man. They look really good. They have a great offensive line, of course. They have 2 fantastic pass rushers. They have a premier wide receiver. Dak Prescott taking care of the ball this year and playing at an MVP level. And they found a new tight end. Jake Ferguson just pops out of nowhere. All of a sudden, they've got it looked like Jason Witten out there all over again. He just the Dallas Cowboys look damn good this year, fellas. And, I mean, they just bullied Philly. I've told you guys before where I work at Toyota here in Kentucky. Since we don't have an NFL team, you have a mixture of a bunch of NFL teams. Well, there's a whole lot of Cowboys fans and a whole lot of Eagles fans. Monday morning, one of the Cowboys fans walks into the break room. He's got a Cowboys hat on. He's got his Deion Sanders jersey on. He even wore cowboy boots into the break room just to let the Eagles fans know, hey, I don't know if y'all stayed up last night for the game, but I sure did. And it was really it was cool to watch. But Dallas looks really good, fellas. What do you think? Kyle, tell me about this one, man.
I think the most surprising thing about this game is Philadelphia had 1 touchdown, I believe, and it was a defensive touchdown. So they scored no offensive points. Again, this is just like the Indianapolis Cincinnati game. I thought Dallas was going to win. Obviously, took him at -3.5, but didn't think they'd win by 20 in this one. I thought it'd be a little bit closer. Last time these 2 teams played, Dallas lost by 4, I believe. But Philadelphia they're going through it right now. I think the gauntlet, they're finally done with their gauntlet, I would say. They still do have a pretty easy schedule. I think they have the easiest remaining schedule in the NFL. However, they play Seattle at
the
Seattle,
Giants twice, and then
Giants twice,
Arizona.
and then Arizona once. But there's a chance they split with New York. I mean, New York just beat probably the best team in the NFL on Monday Night Football.
Okay, let's calm down.
You're right. But the Giants defense and fucking Tommy DeVito shouldn't have been named the offensive player of the week for the NFC. That is the dumbest shit. That is, come on, man. Like, yeah, he didn't even have a great game. He didn't even have a great game. Like, he didn't have a great game.
Saquon Barkley tried to give y'all the game.
God.
I know it's not on our 6-pack challenge, but when that happened, I was like, are the Packers about to win it like this? Is this how it's going to happen?
They should have, but yeah.
I don't know. The NFC player of the week, Tommy DeVito. The AFC player of the week, Zach Wilson. That's a thing that happened this past week. For me, I didn't think Philly was this bad. Luckily, they're out of their gauntlet. Dallas gets to go in their gauntlet with Buffalo, Miami, and Baltimore. Lions. So Dallas, if they can keep it up and hopefully keep everybody healthy, they still have a shot at the 1 seed. But I didn't think Philly was this bad. That being said, they're probably going to get Ndamukong Suh as well. So they're going to have like 3 roles of players to sub in and out of that defense. Like, it's insane.
Well, they've got Shaquille Leonard coming. Philadelphia does. So he got a few snaps in this game, but he's still getting his legs under him in that Philly defense. But
and Darius Big Play Slay got ran all over. And it made me laugh a lot.
Well, they were talking about it in the my favorite thing about Sunday Night Football is the intros. And they were talking about it. They said Darius doesn't like to be called Darius. He tells everyone to just call him Slay. Like, what is that? Okay.
Somebody's full of himself, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, go figure. A DB being full of himself.
Yeah. Shocker.
Any other games you guys want to talk about? Kyle, do you want to talk about your Packers, or do you just kind of want to move on? I know you're in mourning. It was a late game. But I love DeVito's agent. I'm sorry. That was awesome. The guy's dressed up in a zoot suit.
The Packers got outcoached and they got outplayed. Quit running. Yes. An end around, a reverse, a sweep to Jaden Reed is all well and good, but stop running it every third play. Oh my God. What sucks most about watching Green Bay play is we're playing very, very hurt. We didn't have Quay Walker. We didn't have Jair Alexander. We didn't have Aaron Jones. We're missing our MVP quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. I don't know where he is. But yeah, Christian Watson was out this week.
A TP somewhere.
Yeah. But we're playing hurt. David Bakhtiari, our all pro left tackles, out for the season. We're going to move on from him at the end of the year.
I'm pretty sure I've not seen him play since 2020.
He played. It
seems like that. Okay,
he came out, made a few appearances, and then he took off.
I think he went to a Milwaukee Bucks game.
Drank a beer or two.
Chugged a beer, yeah. But it's a young team, and this is a very, very young team, and they have a real chance to do some things in the next few years. I still think they have a good shot at the playoffs because they don't have a hateful schedule for the rest of the year. But if they make the playoffs, they're not going to go very far. I don't think, but I don't know. I mean, other than that, we can talk about real quick the Daily Football Roundup, Brad Johnson Fantasy Football Invitational. We are in the playoffs, and the 3 of us did make it. Aaron, congratulations on your first round bye. Corey fumbled the bag big time, losing. Did you lose your last 2, Corey?
I lost 2 of my last 3.
Losing 2 of his last
not
3.
Good teams, yeah.
To not good teams. Hold on, did I beat? Wasn't I one of your wins?
No, I don't think you beat me this year.
Did I not? Okay,
I don't think so.
I was about to be real upset if you said that I wasn't a good team.
Well, in that league, if I'm not mistaken, I won, but I had DJ Moore for 23 points on my bench and Zay Flowers on my bench for 20 points and still was able to pull off the win.
Corey, I beat you in week 12.
Oh, well, okay, fair enough.
I beat you in week 12.
All right, so a
God.
mediocre team, I guess.
Mediocre. I'm the 4th seed. And I'm defending the title. So it's while the playoffs might run through Aaron,
It needs to come.
This is
it needs
mine.
to come back home. It needs to come back home. There's the original
Staying
right
here.
there.
Staying here.
We'll
I
see.
can I can put it on my bookshelf over here or something.
Aaron, this isn't about you. This is between me and Corey right now. Okay? Corey, when
The
we meet in
one
the
seed,
championship,
you're right. I'm
Yeah,
awful. I'm
when we-
terrible.
Me and the championship.
Corey, when we
guy.
meet in the championship, I'm trying to think. Wasn't there a 1 seed recently that was like really awful, but they were still the 1 seed?
Like the Titans, I think.
Yeah.
they
Well,
got one.
Somebody
yeah,
did,
The Steelers were 13-0 there that 1 year, and then just really fell apart. I don't know that they ended up being a 1 seed, but it not to throw any shade, Aaron, but the champs are talking. Okay, the previous champions are talking right now.
I wasn't in the
Right.
league, so
It doesn't matter. Okay,
you guys called me up from NXT, and I'm coming for the belt. That's what
Yeah.
it is.
The fact that I outscored every team by at least 300 points. Well, no, I'm sorry, 200 points. I mean, the points against me are just ridiculous. It's not fair.
It's all about when you play, man. All about when you play.
We'll see. We have a few weeks coming up that's going to be really exciting.
Well,
I think there's going to be a lot of motherfucking on this podcast too. About
now that all of our viewers have backed away, thought we were just talking fantasy football. We can move on to this week's 6-pack challenge. The first one, the 12-ounce Curl Route Podcast, big spread of the week, Sunday at 4:05. The San Francisco 49ers traveling to Arizona. Arizona is a 13.5-point home underdog. The over-under is 48. The money line for San Francisco, minus 1,000. For Arizona is plus 650. Vegas has a lot of confidence in San Francisco, and so do I. I'm not even going to wait for Kyle to give me news, notes, and nuggets on this one. Give me San Francisco minus 13.5. I'm not going to let you talk me out of it. I might regret it because last week I really regretted not taking the Titans. I even told you guys that after we got off air, but I trust San Fran. I trust Kyle Shanahan, and I think they just keep pushing this playoff push. Kyle, tell me some nuggets on this game.
Corey, do you need news, notes, and nuggets on this game at all? Or
I really want to take the Cardinals, but I just they did beat the Steelers. Never mind, that's not a good win.
They did
beat the Cowboys.
Damn it. You know what? Fuck it. I'm taking the Cardinals 13.5. Why not?
They might cover the spread. They are at home.
They're fun. They got Trey McBride, Connor. I mean, they're good-ish.
You're defending a 3-game lead right now in the standings, and this is a loss for you.
Okay.
We'll see. I would take San Francisco probably minus 21. I'm not going to because I don't have to.
I think they're going to think it's such an easy game and they're going to lay off, maybe rest some guys. I don't know.
I probably should have read you the news, notes, and nuggets because you just made a bad choice, my friend. No takesy backsies. You're locked in with Arizona.
I'm good about it.
Takesy backsies.
No takesies back in third grade. Like what?
Pinky swear.
I'm fine with it. I'm fine with my pick.
Are we ready to move on?
Yeah.
All right, the 12-ounce Curl Route Podcast nail biter of the week, Dallas at Buffalo. Buffalo is a 2-point home favorite. The over-under is 50.5. The money line for Dallas is plus 110. Buffalo is minus 130. Kyle, I'm jumping the gun again. I've already bet this game. I've already bet Dallas money line. Give me Dallas plus 2 all day long. How about them Cowboys? Kyle, give me
How
some
about
nuggets.
them Cowboys? I could read the news, notes, and nuggies on this one too, if I need to, Corey. But when I said that that Buffalo, if they lose 2 games between Dallas and Miami, essentially what I was saying is that they need to beat Miami come week 18. I don't understand why Buffalo is favorited in this game. That makes zero sense. I've already bet this game. I've already bet the money line. Aaron and I, we're bad boys for life. We ride together. We die together because we're riding on Dallas together.
Bang, bang.
I'm taking Dallas +2.
So it's at 425. It's going to be raining, and it's going to be in the mid 40s in Buffalo. Cowboys have spent the last month indoors in Dallas. Take Buffalo.
Whoa!
I believe in Buffalo. Take Buffalo.
I mean, it is going to be cold. A warm weather team traveling to they don't call it the frozen tundra up there. What do they call it?
Oh, it's a
frozen tundra.
A snowball with a bunch of broken tables. That's about it. Yeah.
Our next
they
game.
call it Dudleyville because all the tables are broken.
There you go.
Bill's Mafia, get the tables.
I will say, even though it's going to rain, that I'd probably hammer that over.
You think so?
Yeah.
When Dallas puts 35 up by themselves, it's not going to be hard for Buffalo to score 15.
Yeah, and then their defense scores a touchdown. They get a kick return.
All right.
Our next game is – we have 3 Saturday games this week, fellas. But this one, I picked the best – what I thought was the best one of Saturday. 8:15 p.m. Denver at Detroit -5. The over-under is 48. The money line for Denver is +195. For Detroit is -238. Give me Denver going on the road. The Detroit Lions continue to stumble. I really like Denver's defense, and I'm going to have to check this money line. If it's still +198, that's looking awfully tasty for you, boy, to bet Denver's money line. Go ahead, Kyle.
I can give the news notes, and it's not even really news notes and nuggies. There's no news. I can give the nugs on this one, Corey, if you'd like. What I'll tell you is, on paper, Detroit's the better team, except in the turnover department. Denver's sporting a +6 turnover differential. Detroit's sporting a -6 turnover differential. The only way for Detroit to win this game and beat Denver is to hang on to the football. Oh, yeah. Did I mention the Denver Broncos have the worst run defense in the NFL? Detroit's going to take the ball out of Jared Goff's hands. They're going to put it into David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, and guess what? Just when you think you've stopped that, here comes Jameson Williams on a wide receiver reverse, screaming down the field for a touchdown because that's what they do with him. So I'm locking in. I'm riding Detroit -5. This is a get-right game for them. Denver will lose. Any aspirations and hopes at the playoffs this week when they lose to Detroit?
Go ahead, Corey.
All right. I'm taking a line from Kyle. Denver does not have to win this game for me to win this pick. Denver is getting out of the cold weather. Right. Denver's getting out of the cold weather and going to Detroit. Detroit's looked like crap lately. And Denver's offense is not that bad versus that horrible defense. So until Detroit proves me wrong, give me Denver in the points.
Well, so you got 2 on Denver, 1 rolling with the Lions, the Detroit kneecap biters. Sunday at 1 o'clock, the Chicago Bears, my Chicago Bears, traveling to Cleveland to take on the Browns. The Browns are -3.5. The over-under is 37.5. Money line for Chicago is +145. For Cleveland is -175. The Chicago Bears have to win out for any hopes of making the playoffs, and I think they go to Cleveland and win this game. The Cleveland Browns starting left tackle is Jaron Christian, and I believe, if I read this correctly online, DeJuan Jones is out for the rest of the season as well. So they will have 2 new starting offensive tackles. The Bears did just lose Yannick Ngakoue to a broken ankle. He's out for the rest of the season. So that hurts a little bit, but as long as we still got Montez Sweat rushing from that other end and really setting the tone for this Bears defense, I got to ride with the Bears, man. Give me Bears +3.5. Go ahead, Kyle.
The Cleveland Browns, with Joe Flacco under center, are not the Cleveland Browns. I would say that we know and love, but I don't think anybody loves the Cleveland Browns. They're not the Cleveland Browns that everybody expects them to be. Joe Flacco's thrown the ball the last 2 games a combined 89 times, I believe. 89 times. Joe Flacco, I think, is 55 years old. Don't quote me on that, but
Still
he's
got
not
a gorgeous
young.
ball too. Gorgeous.
He
ball.
is not young. He throws a great ball. He is also a vested veteran. He has been around the league for quite some time. And he knows when to step up in the pocket. He knows when to get out there. And he makes better decisions than some of the quarterbacks who have been playing for Cleveland. However, if I look at this just on paper, Cleveland's far and away the better team. But when Aaron told me that the Bears have a top 5 defense since acquiring Montez Sweat, and they showed that against Detroit, it really made me go, Chicago is 4th in the league in rushing yards, and they're -1 on turnover differential. Cleveland's -7. Now, granted, again, they had a lot of different players playing quarterback. Joe Flacco seems to be able to take care of the ball. Cleveland's weakness, if they have one, is their rushing defense. They rank 11th, which is still pretty good. They're giving up 103 yards per game. Chicago's averaging 138 yards per game. Justin Fields knows how to run the ball. I don't think this is going to be a barn burner or anything of that nature, but I'll quote it the right way since Corey, I don't know how many times I've had to say it and he can't get it right. The Chicago Bears do not have to win this game for me to get this pick right. Not saying that, I'm riding with Aaron and they're going to win, but that 0.5, I really, really like that 0.5. So I'm taking Chicago plus 3.5.
Yeah, that hook will get you a lot. Corey, are you riding by yourself again, or are we all bearing down this week?
I'm going to bear down. That extra half point helps. I don't have to win the pick. So
you got to pull that, Kyle.
So I'm also taking the Chicago Bears. I do think the Bears actually might just outright win this game too. There's some rain scheduled for that day, but I think it's later on. It is going to be the mid or low 50s there. So
yeah, it was 34 degrees last week in Chicago. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Before we move on, I'd like to just request to Aaron. I think it might still be on, but I haven't watched it in a long, long time. Pardon the interruption, I believe it was. I think when somebody says something like just way off the wall and not cool, they get muted for 10 to 30 seconds. So if we could mute Corey for just a little bit.
Around the horn did that.
Around the horn.
Around the horn. Yeah. But he made fun of me, and I don't really like that. So.
I like it. But we will move on now. Sunday at 1:00. The Houston Texans traveling to Tennessee to take on the Titans. Titans are 2.5-point home favorites. The over-under is 48. Money line for Houston is plus 120. For Tennessee is minus 142. As you said earlier, Kyle, I'm not sure if Coleridge is even playing in this game. Therefore, give me the Will Levis-led Tennessee Titans minus 2.5. I'm trusting you, Tennessee. Don't let me down. I need wins. I am treading water, barely above 500 in this 6-pack challenge. I need a lot of help this week, and next week Santa's coming, and I need a whole lot of help next week. Kyle, tell me about this one, man.
Yeah, this one, I could give you the numbers, but I'll tell you, Houston's players are dropping like flies.
Yeah.
They were not built to withstand. Houston was not built to be 7-6 like they are. I believe they're 7-6.
Yep.
They were built to be probably 4-13 at the end of the season.
Even Corey's turning on him. Look, he's got a Patriots hat.
They didn't have to win they didn't win their game last week, and Corey said, I'm out.
Yeah.
They got blowed out too by Zach Wilson, AFC Offensive Player of the Week.
They have arguably 2 of the worst losses of the year. That and Carolina's win.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even say Zach Wilson was the player of the week. He was just the player of the second half, man. He really put it on them. I'm trying to throw salt on your wound to take it off of mine. So
CJ Stroud's mom was probably in the stands, and Zach Wilson saw her, and he was like,
"Hey, yo,
time to go, Joe Namath in this biznitch."
Yeah. You know, I know Will Levis likes to put mayo on his sandwich and in his coffee.
Yeah.
So I know that he's a dangerous man. So I'm taking, not knowing if my boy Coleridge is playing, I got to roll with Tennessee -2.5.
Corey.
I think I'm going with the reverse psychology again. I think even if we pick this game Sunday, I might still take Tennessee. It's in Nashville. It's going to also be, apparently it's going to be raining all over the country.
Yeah.
It's going to be raining. It's going to be 50 degrees. You okay over there, Kyle?
Shiver. Yeah.
Okay. So the -2.5 is nice. I'm going to take Tennessee. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah, Kyle's been to Nashville in the chilly and rainy, and
it was raining too. Yeah,
ugly game.
I'll tell you what, though, I think I said it when I got back. It was Trace Adkins sang the national anthem, and then Lee Greenwood came out and sang a little bit too. And you're not going to get that anywhere else, man. Like that was the highlight of that trip. I mean that game sucked. It was awful. But that Trace Adkins, hats off to him.
Country music capital of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Our final pick in the six-pack challenge this week is Baltimore at Jacksonville on Sunday Night Football. Jacksonville is 3.5-point home underdogs. The over/under is 43.5. The money line for Baltimore is -175. For Jacksonville is +145. I'm not sure where to pick. Kyle, do you have any nuggets for this one?
So got some nugs. Sure. I am beyond amazed that Trevor Lawrence played last week against Cleveland. Not only was he nursing that high ankle, but you threw him out there against the Cleveland Browns, who have a very, very good defense. Trevor Lawrence is still nursing that high ankle, and he's now limping his way out to play against Baltimore. On paper, Baltimore has the number one rushing attack in the league. They are 4th in points, 19th in passing yards per game, 6th in total yards per game. They've given the ball away 15 times. Jacksonville, 11th total yards, 9th in passing, 24th in rushing, which is surprising given that they have ETN. And then they've got their 9th in points per game. Defensively, far and away better is Baltimore. 2nd in yards per game, 4th in passing yards per game allowed, 12th in rushing yards, and 2nd in points per game allowed at 16.8. They've also taken the ball away 19 times. Defensively for Jacksonville, 24th in total yards, 31st in passing. So you better believe that Lamar Jackson is about to just ball out. 4th in rushing yards per game allowed, 20th in points per game. They're 1st in takeaways. They've taken the ball away 24 times this year. So look for, 1 or 2 turnovers probably by Baltimore. I think that this one can be close. I really do. But I feel like since Mark Andrews got hurt, Lamar Jackson is starting to trust his other weapons a little bit more. We've seen Odell Beckham start balling out. We've seen more from Zay Jones. I think Rashad Bateman, who, still plays for Baltimore, has even been getting some love too. Don't forget Keaton Mitchell, who you get him out in space too, and he's the Devon Achane of this team, like the Miami Dolphins. He's your Chase Brown, like for the Bengals. You get him out in space, and he can do wonders for you. But I just think that Baltimore's the better team, especially with Lawrence nursing that ankle. So give me Baltimore -3.5.
Yeah, it all sounds. I'm gonna ride with you. The 0.5 point was throwing me off, and you mentioned all of Lamar's weapons. You forgot to mention Isaiah Likely, who's the tight end that stepped up.
Yeah, he's been a great fill-in.
In Mark Andrews' absence, he's a good young player that the Baltimore Ravens, what are they going to? They draft and develop. That's what they do in Baltimore, and that just continues to go. So give me Baltimore -3.5. Jacksonville 3 and 3 AFC North games in a row, right? Cincinnati, then Cleveland, and then Baltimore. Do they play the Steelers next week? Huh?
Right.
Corey, tell me how you're feeling on this one, man.
Isaiah Likely would be the starter. He'd be the starting tight end on 25 teams. He's great. That's a huge pickup for them. Zay Flowers is continuing his dominance right now. I love it. Jacksonville, I'm with Kyle. I can't believe Trevor Lawrence played. And honestly, I can't believe Etienne played.
Yeah.
He is hurt as well. So they have got to get their shit together or they're going to lose their own division, let alone they've already lost the 1 seed in theory. Speaking of the 1 seed, Baltimore can almost lock up the 1 seed with this win. They're 1 game up now as it stands, and they would knock Jacksonville down to 3 games behind. So I will say this, shocker, it's going to rain in Jacksonville, and it's going to be a chilly 67 degrees. But I'm not even worried about that half point. Give me Baltimore. I know they needed overtime to beat the Rams. The Rams are a sneaky, wild team, and I think they're going to make the playoffs in the NFC. So, yeah, give me Baltimore. I hate it for Jacksonville and Duval County, but give me Baltimore. It's slipping away.
Duval.
That defense in Jacksonville is reeling lately. I think they've given up like a ton of yards and points the last 2 weeks.
If it wasn't for our boy Josh Allen, I don't know where they'd be.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if they keep him around. I think his contract's up after this season. Are there any other games this week that you guys wanted to touch on or talk about? Or
yeah, there was one. Let's see, Pittsburgh at Indy. That is I think a elimination game for the playoffs. Did we not do Philly at Seattle?
That was I was trying to choose between Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football, and I went with Sunday just because I just think
that's going to be a fun game. And I know Philly has New York Cardinals, New York. Seattle's not an out. They're playing at the 12th man. So, and it's Monday Night Football. I mean, they're not an easy out. I don't know if not Drew Lock. Geno Smith, I don't know if he's going to be back, but that's not the easiest win. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So
they didn't really look like they skipped a beat with Drew Lock in there. I think
which was wild.
That's a big shout out to Pete Carroll, man. When they got rid of Russell Wilson, I thought, okay, the Seahawks are going to suck now, and then they're like, no, we'll be fine. We'll pick up the pieces and figure it out.
I swear to God, if Atlanta at Carolina's on my TV, I'm just going to sleep.
Well,
speaking of Atlanta, though, I mean, it's not just the games this week, but I'm the NFC South, Atlanta, New Orleans, Tampa Bay. I don't know. If you were to tell me to pick a team right now of who's going to win that division, I'd probably tell you the Carolina Panthers, and they're eliminated from the playoffs. Just because, I mean, somebody might get in the playoffs at 8-9, and we haven't seen that in a little while that a team makes it with a losing record, meaning that there could be a team looking on the outside with a winning record that doesn't make it because of that.
Not only making the playoffs with a losing record, but hosting a playoff game with a losing record.
Hosting either the Cowboys or the Eagles.
That's what I'm saying.
Losing record.
Like the worst case scenarios. Oh shit! You get to go to a dome and play one of those shit teams. Like, all right, like
unless one of them gets hot, and the NFC North continues to flounder, and Detroit doesn't really win a whole lot of more games, and maybe the South takes over the 3 seed, and we're looking at somebody in the NFC North winning that and being the 4th seed as well.
I must have been drunk because that division. 6-7, 6-7, 6-7 Panthers, and I picked the damn Panthers. I don't know what the hell I was thinking.
Well, if you were drunk that night, you weren't drinking on the screen. I don't know. You maybe came.
I might have been sober when I picked that. Maybe I should drink when I.
Oh well, this week might backfire on me because I picked, I believe, every single game basically. Well, except the last one. I picked 5 of the 6 games without any help from our local homework guy, Kyle.
We're all the same on the Bears, the Titans, and the Ravens. So there could be at least a 2 points or a 2 game swing between me and Kyle.
3 games.
3. We
only
both
took three
we both took the Bills.
So there's a chance that you and I could walk out of this tied.
Well, we both took the Bills. So me and you are the same on 4 games.
I didn't take the Bills. I took Dallas.
Oh, well, I can't type.
Well, BUF and DAL are right next to each other.
Yeah,
so
I know.
can see how you can mix
Purdy,
that
you know. All right, well then, yes, that could be a 3-game swing. Shut up. Shut your mouth.
Who do the Packers got this week? Oh, you said Tampa Bay. Are they at Tampa?
They're at Tampa Bay. No, they're at Green Bay, it looks like. That's a 1:00 game. Look.
You got a Florida team traveling up to Green Bay?
Well, you got to remember, Tampa Bay, I guess it doesn't matter because this was years and years ago. I'm about to say, well, they used to travel up to Green Bay all the time when they were in the NFC Central, but none of those players were probably alive when they were in the NFC Central.
They've won our division more recently than the Detroit Lions have.
Wolf. And I found a place where it's not going to rain. Green Bay.
Oh, it's snow there.
Hey,
it's actually going to be a nice day, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see that kind of be a shootout, to be honest. I think that you're looking at Mike Evans probably having a decent game, especially if Alexander's out.
What's going on with Jair? He's on the injury report every week. Like, what?
I think he's just kind of taking the year off.
Yeah. I'll take it off and let Jordan Love kind of season.
Just like the rest of the team. Or maybe he's like, you know what, let me save myself for the playoffs. So I don't know. It's if it's not one thing with this player, it's another with this player. I guess AJ Dillon has a thumb injury. Green Bay just signed Kenyon Drake to the practice squad, and he was active for the Monday night game against the New York Giants. And we got rid of James Robinson. Like, we're just out here just kicking the tires on, I want to say old running backs, but James Robinson isn't old. Just that Achilles injury really got him. So it's just not it's just not a lot of healthy. It's health. I think we have the 49ers maybe head trainer or something like that. So we could talk about this excellent game we're going to get tomorrow night between Eason and either O'Connell or Garoppolo. I'm not sure what the over-under on that. I don't know if Josh Jacobs is playing. I know Keenan Allen is not, but 34. Hammer that under. Hammer that 34. Under.
Yeah. Your boy bet under 3.5 against Minnesota and Las Vegas.
Man. Speaking of that game, 3-0. Those are NFL teams.
That was
the Las Vegas Golden Knights hockey team put up more points than their football team on Sunday. Like, I don't know.
Did you just say you bet under 3.5?
Yeah, it was like there was 7 minutes left or something like that.
Oh,
and it was 0-0 still. And then I hit under 3.5. And then who was the quarterback for Minnesota? I can't even remember. That's how bad it was.
Nick Mullins came in.
Yeah, he threw a piss missile to Jordan Addison that went all the way down into field goal range, and I was like, yes. And then the funny part about that game was they kicked it back to Vegas. Vegas threw an interception on the 28-yard, and I was like, oh, my God, they're going to kick another field goal. And then instead, they punted it 14 yards. I was like, yes.
They seriously, they had it they had it.
They had it on the 27 with 14 seconds left, and they punted the ball 14 yards.
Well,
yes, that's a thing that happened.
I bet the Army-Navy game. I had Army -3, and I parlayed it with the under, and that safety at the very end made it push on the under. I got my money back on it. I won a little bit, but I won. I would have won a lot more had they just did anything other than a safety. Literally anything. I don't know, but go Army, beat Navy, right, Kyle?
Yeah, something like that.
I'm so proud of your service there. Thanks.
Thank you both for your service, by the way.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess we'll just get out of here from this week. And as I said, next week, Santa Claus is coming to town. I believe it's next week, right?
Yeah, next week we have 16 games on the slate. one thing I'll tell you, I'm going to do my homework, and I'm more than happy to make copies and send over to you guys. Corey, you probably won't get it in the mail by the time
I won't
we
get it till
do.
June, probably.
Yeah, we're doing the holiday 16 pack, if there's such a
God
thing.
bless.
But I think that next week when we do this, it's going to have to just be rapid fire. Here's the game, here's the spread, and here's our pick. Not really going deep into our reasons why, because if we do that, we're going to be talking till Thursday morning.
We're liable to be. They're liable to be like an 8-game swing or something.
I mean, that's kind of what I did this week. I just I like this team. I'm gonna pick them. So stay tuned next week for a 16-pack challenge next week. But until then, we'll just get out of here, and you can tell them, Corey.
Bye.